Hey everyone, so today's video we're going to be talking about the new gear sets and which heroes actually utilize the gear sets best. This is a good question that I thought came up in the comments not too long ago, and I think maybe some new players or mid-game players might have, some questions around that. So today, that's what we're going to talk about. We're only talking about the new sets. We're not going to be talking about the older sets. I think the people that have been playing have understood these sets in general. I'll reference, those sets if they're good or not, but I won't be talking about them in detail. Sorry. And I also won't be talking, like who those are best to go on. Okay. So first off, Roaring Tulpa, he had this elemental set added. Now, it's hard to understand this gear set fully because people just aren't farming Tulpa, so you don't have a whole lot of players that have fantastic elemental sets. With this set being a two-piece set, I actually think it's just a complementary piece. You usually pair it up with some kind of 4-set piece to do additional damage. I showcased my Ash Magisteria speedrun yesterday with Timmins, and this was a set that I was using to complement Timmins' damage. So instead of slapping on like a attack set or something like that, that's where I think an elemental set would actually do good in these three main Arcane Dominator dungeons. So long story short, anyone that is a damage dealer, now I know this is broad strokes, but anybody who's a damage dealer farming either Tulpa, Ash, or Queen, it's always a good idea to slap this elemental set on them as an additional two-piece set, if you can. It's not the end of the world, but it is going to be additional damage. It's probably going to help you with a little bit more speed. The issue is the rest of the Tulpa sets are not good. They haven't been good for a while, and they'll probably remain ungood. And it's not worth farming Tulpa for the elemental set. I would suggest whenever they do some kind of Tulpa rally, that's the only time you do it. And if you have the good elemental pieces, awesome. Otherwise, don't worry about it. Okay? Next is Ash. So Ash introduced the Wrath set. Oh, sorry. I always get that mixed up. Salvation set. So this was a pretty cool set, to be honest. So it's a 4-piece set, and it says on support ability cast, applies 1 stack of max health up to the target, with each stack providing a 10% bonus, and it goes up to max 5 stacks. So this Salvation set is kind of like a better version of the Faith set, and more what's the word? More flexible. So the Faith set actually comes in Witch of the Wind, and what the Faith set says is healing abilities grant a shield equal to 50% of the healing amount. So it's limited to a healing ability. There's not many damage dealing healing abilities in the game, at least I don't think, and the way that the game code works, it's not even a guarantee that if somebody heals that it counts as healing. We won't get into that. But anyway, this Salvation set is a much more flexible set over the Faith set. So any hero that is actually going to do an AoE support ability, this is going to be a really nice set for them. But this set's going to be a little limited because those stacks can actually be removed. So that's something that you have to keep in mind. So if we go into the index here, I'm just going to do, I guess I'll do all of them. We'll look at legendaries and epics. We'll talk about some support heroes that could possibly wear this, okay? So when we're looking at, at least the light list, there's not many heroes here that do, support abilities. Even traditional support heroes like Kelowna. Kelowna has 2 different attack abilities, so she's not going to be good in a Salvation set. The one that purely sticks out for sure is Light Ophelia. I will mention as well that the Salvation set is almost entirely PvE. You want to be using it in dungeon runs, and you want to be using it in guild versus environment. That's basically it, and in Rift of Chaos. So let's get that out of the way. So Light Ophelia has 2 healing abilities, one on her ultimate and then one on her special, and they're all AoE. So every time she does her ultimate or her special, she's going to be putting up that stack of the Salvation max health and increase everybody's health by 10%. It's a really great option if you're having some issues, surviving an Ash Magisteria or something like that, or even some Rift of Chaos teams that you might be using Light Ophelia in. Pretty good. So she's a prime candidate for that. On the other end of the spectrum here, looking at some of the dark units, it doesn't look like there's a whole lot of good dark units as well that would wear this. Actually, I don't see any dark unit that is legendary or epic that would be suited to wear this. So here, Mathasia, she's okay. The problem is Mathasia only has an AoE heal on her ultimate, and it's usually whenever heroes are dead. She's not used a whole lot in PvE. She is used in some Rift of Chaos teams, but at the same time, I still don't think that this would be the ideal set for her there. So I guess she's an okay option for the set. One of the main people that's really going to utilize this well in the green area is Jocasta. So Jocasta has 2 abilities that have AoE support. One is this AoE Invincible and Heal Over Time, and then she also grants a team-wide defense up. So both these abilities are going to grant that max health. Really great option. She's going to be really good in Queen of Tides. She's also going to be really good in any of the Rift of Chaos dungeons whenever it comes to earth or water. And she's also a pretty good support hero in guild versus environment. So Jocasta is another one that's going to be really good for the Salvation set for sure. Moving on. Let's see here. Who else do we got? We have... And that's about it. So as you're seeing here, there's actually not a whole lot of heroes that this is suited for. But the heroes that it is suited for, they definitely wear them well. Jocasta wears this perfect, and so does Light Ophelia. From the fire side, Florence, this is an amazing hero to wear this Salvation set. She has 2 AoE heals, being able to increase the healing of these because it's based on her health. So she'll give herself the max health buff from Salvation, and then the next time that she heals herself and your allies, it's actually going to increase the heal amount. So this hero is going to be fantastic for the Rift of Chaos stuff, fantastic for dungeons. You can use her in Ash, you can use her in Tulpa. And then in Guild versus Environment, some of those higher boss stages, some heroes are actually really good in those boss stages, but they don't have enough sustain to survive. So if you bring in a Salvation set, it actually might help survivability. So Florence, Jocasta, Light Ophelia so far are the main heroes that I'm seeing that are going to be useful for this. Not a whole lot of support heroes in the game. That's something that I've realized at least over the past 6 months, is whenever they introduce heroes, it's a lot of times it's just damage dealers. So from the water slot, I actually tried this on Blackhorn, but the issue with Blackhorn is this totem actually doesn't count as like an AoE thing. Even though it does an AoE heal at the end, this ability is like single target, so only he gives himself the HP max health buff off of this. So Blackhorn actually isn't a very good target for this. He's better suited in, revival set or something like that along those lines. Now, to sheer Tashir might be a decent one for this as well, but she's mainly a PvP character. I don't know if she'll ever have any use in PvE, but she does have some support abilities. Yeah, that's basically about it. You essentially have 3 people that wear this set. So if you can't clear Ash 17 and you're bummed that you can't get Salvation Gear, don't be. It's used on 3 people. Now, granted, those 3 heroes are really good and they benefit really well from them, but I don't think it's blocking you from unlocking anything. So just to recap, for the Salvation was Flarence, Jocasta, and then you had Light Ophelia. So not a whole lot there, right? When it comes to Queen of Tides, so Queen of Tides introduced this Wrath set. Now, I was a little low on this Wrath set at first, but it's a 4-piece set, and it has the text, whenever dealing damage gains a stack of Wrath, that increases damage dealt by 6%, and it goes to a max of 10 stacks. This can also be removed, but there aren't a whole lot of bosses where this set is actually useful, where the removal of the buff is going to come into play. So that's nice. You need to think of the Wrath set similar to Assassin set, okay? So when it comes to Assassin set, very good set, deals 15% more damage to the main target, and then you have a 50% chance of dealing an additional 35%. So just 50% is your max additional damage that you can do, but it's only a 50% chance to do that. You should just consider 15%. Also a 4-piece set. The thing with Assassin, though, so the difference between Wrath and Assassin is going to be a PvP set. Assassin is good in PvE if you have better Assassin sets, but the areas where you're using an Assassin set, Wrath is almost going to be the better set. Now, the only difference is in Witch of the Wind and Gemini Dragon, where the fights are shorter and it's more of a one-shot team. That's where Assassin, I think, is a little bit better. Although, even with Witch of the Wind, you could make a case that Wrath could be just as good or better than Assassin because you do have waves. In Gemini Dragon, you don't have waves to build up your damage dealer stacks with the Wrath set. So, with that being said, this Wrath set is more for game modes like all 3 of these dungeons, right? So Tulpa, Ash, and Queen of Tides. It's going to be great there. Witch of the Wind, I mean, it's basically interchangeable between Assassin and Wrath. So keep that in mind. Guild Boss, Wrath set superior to Assassin. Rift of Chaos, Wrath set superior to Assassin. And then Guild versus Environment. On the bosses, Wrath set is definitely superior to Assassin because of that talent, Thunder Punishment. We talked about it in a video not too long ago, talking about Ancient Relic teams, where you get additional turns. You usually get 2 turns per round. Your Wrath set is going to be built up in 2 rounds. So you're just going to be dealing 60% additional damage guaranteed all the time. Okay? So that's where you're going to be using that. But the heroes that are specifically good with the Wrath set are going to be your PvE characters. So your dungeon farming characters, your Guild versus Environment Ancient Relic characters, your Rift of Chaos characters, things like that, okay? So when it comes to those characters, the type of people that you're looking for are your main damage dealers, which I don't think any of them are going to be light characters. Some of them are okay in Guild versus Environment. Same thing with the Dark. Maybe I'll just stick to red, green, blue. That's just a little bit easier. So Guan Yu, this guy will build up those 10 stacks of Wrath in no time with all of his joint attacks. He's insane. He would be the best person for Wrath set when it comes to PvE content. I use him in Assassin set because he's a great arena character as well. But if you are primarily using him just for PvE and you don't like PvP, a Wrath set on Guan Yu is fantastic. So it's funny. Ash Magisteria is the best dungeon because it gives Avarice set, which is a pretty decent set overall, although the lack of AoE characters in the game is kind of staggering. You have Dragon Scale, which is a pretty good tank set, although that's also even getting less and less relevant with all the true damage, ignore defense, can't crit heroes that are in the game. Dragon Scale it's more niche than anything, but it's still good in certain applications. But then Speed Set, which is just so important in any of these gacha games, is why Ash is so good. But on the flip side, the Wrath set from Queen is probably the best damage dealing PvE set in the game, so you have to farm it. It's a pretty important dungeon to farm. So Queen of Tides is probably the most important dungeon, I would say, to farm for PvE minded players in Awaken Chaos Era. You can make a case for Gemini Dragon as well, but Gemini is such an annoying dungeon that I would say Queen of Tides is your best bet. So getting back to who wears this Wrath set really well, Guan Yu for sure. Other heroes, Hyunwoo, fantastic hero, usually in team compositions that are going to last longer. He gets tons of bonus attacks. Whenever he gets AoE'd, he puts up a bonus attack, so he's going to be attacking twice. And then if he builds up enough rage, he ends up just going right into his ultimate. So he can technically attack 3 times and build up 3 stacks from Wrath immediately. So this guy, fantastic Wrath set wearer for sure. Other heroes, Elise, she's another one that just does a bunch of attacks, especially if she's A5. She just like automatically goes into this you're out, doing true damage. She can build up stacks really quickly as well. Counterattacks whenever she's hit with an AoE ability. Fantastic hero in Rift of Chaos. She has lost value because the endgame dungeons, you can't do true damage, which is annoying. I don't know why they have that, to be honest. But from a Rift of Chaos perspective, Elise is absolutely fantastic to wear that Wrath set. Okay, moving on, Fahim. Fahim is another one. I use him in my guild boss. He's a fantastic wearer of a Wrath set. Right now I have him in Assassin. I just haven't been able to farm good Queen. I actually ended up booking and ascending Hyunwoo on this account, so I could do that. But he's fantastic in Guild versus Environment. He's like in a premier boss team. So he's a great character to use the Wrath set on as well. Other heroes that we can utilize this on. From an epic standpoint, I would say that Hitoshi is actually pretty good. He gets bonus attacks whenever he kills people. The application for him, though, is really limited. He's probably okay for Queen of Tides 17, but he's not going to be your main damage dealer. You're going to be using Guan Yu or Hyunwoo as your main damage dealer there, but if he's all you got, because you start with him, he wears the Wrath set fairly well. So that's basically it for the wood characters. From fire, Flaming Mila actually wears this pretty well, especially if she's A5. She gets bonus attacks. She does counterattacks. So, she's a great wearer of this. She absolutely destroys Rift of Chaos Earth and Tulpa. The bummer is Tulpa isn't really good, as we spoke about that at the beginning of the video. But for Rift of Chaos Earth, she's also very good, but she kills that boss so quick, you technically don't even need to have her in Wrath set. she's like that good. But yeah, so she's one of the people that would benefit from it. Same thing with Bella. Bella's just getting additional attacks. She's the one who's going to be doing the most damage for Tulpa. You're going to pair her up with somebody like Florence, to get her bonus attacks. And she also benefits from the Wrath set's attack stack. It counts as a positive effect, so it increases her damage. So that's pretty cool. Arlo, this is another one. He's another premier damage dealer for Rift of Chaos Earth. He's also a pretty good damage dealer in Guild versus Environment bosses, but he does need Ascended 5 usually for those teams, but still a pretty good damage dealer nonetheless. Hector, for the people that are fairly new, this guy just got a buff, and he's going to be doing multiple attacks per turn. He has a unique mechanic where he throws these little axes, which is actually a pretty cool animation in the game. So he throws these 2 axes and then returns the axes and then gains a bonus turn for each axe. So he can actually ramp up pretty well with the Wrath set. He's one of the few characters in the game that actually has increased damage taken 2, which is really unique. The problem is he's probably only really good in Guild boss and maybe some Guild versus Environment bosses. But at the same time, to really be useful in endgame content, you need to book characters. And no one wants to book Hector, and I don't blame them. But he is a hero that could probably wear the Wrath set for a mid-game player if they just got into Queen. They're trying to get up their Guild boss score, or they're trying to, participate in Guild versus Environment bosses. He might be decent there. So another hero that's pretty good there is Levi. So Levi was an Attack on Titan character, but he does do bonus attacks. He counterattacks. So he's doing damage a decent amount of time. I would not recommend building him, as it pains me to say, but yeah, he is an option if you're around for the Attack on Titan event and you want to cheese Rift of Chaos Earth. Rosalie is another one, especially in Ashe or Tulpa, where she's going to be counterattacking a lot and doing bonus attacks. She's going to ramp up the Wrath damage a lot and actually might help you clear stage 18, maybe even 19 if you have a premier Wrath set. She's definitely a hero that wears that very well. She's also really good in Rift of Chaos Earth. So Gavin. So Gavin might be a decent wearer of this for Tulpa and might allow him to get over the hump. He's very good in Witch of the Wind. He's very good in Gemini Dragon and Tulpa. The thing is with his damage output and ignoring the defense and things like that, Assassin has worked fairly well and has gotten me to a point where his damage is enough in Assassin that I don't know what difference Wrath would make, but in theory, Wrath is a better set for Gavin, just not in Gemini Dragon. So if you're going to run him in Gemini and the other dungeons, you're going to have to switch between Assassin and Wrath, and I take it no one really wants to do that. Philidia is actually another one that's an epic choice. So she's in a Guild versus Environment boss teams, paired up with, what's his name? Bachelor, who I actually skipped. We'll go back to him. But she's going to be doing a bunch of attacks because of the Kiss of Death talent. So it's very specific. She's not actually like an ideal person to wear Wrath on the surface, but she is pretty good whenever you encompass everything around her for Guild versus Environment. Jacob, another one. This guy's like straightforward Wrath wearer, right? I mean, he grants himself so many bonus turns. As you build up his rage, he's usually getting 7 or 8 attacks per turn. A freer to play option is Scarlet. Scarlet's going to be joint attacking with her wolf. Every time someone has a bleed, she goes in and attacks with a wolf, so she'll pick up some damage there. It's a pretty good option. I do want to reference Bachelor. So Bachelor does 4 instances of damage. So the way that I think Wrath works is every instant of damage, he'll increase his damage with the Wrath set. So this is another good character that could wear Wrath set. I think that's about it for fire. Yeah, I believe so. So when it comes to water, let's see here. Opal is obviously a really nice choice with her ultimate or his ultimate. I don't know if boy or girl. She puts up the joint attack, and then whenever someone dies, she gets joint attack for longer. Fantastic wear of this. She's really good in Guild versus Environment. She's been outclassed recently with Guan Yu and Fahim, but she's still a nice option. She's used in faction challenges, and she can also be used in Witch of the Wind. So she's a good wear of that Wrath set as well. On top of that, I think that's about it. Kaysen, who I hate to admit, but he probably be pretty good in Wrath set. He does a lot of bonus attacks, counterattacks, joint attacks. So he'd be a good wear of the Wrath set. Same thing with Bocce and Hori for Rift of Chaos Fire. They're going to be good wearers of that Wrath set as well. So, yeah, some decent options for the Wrath set, as you guys are seeing here. So, that is the Wrath set. Now, when it comes to immunity, immunity is the new set for Witch of the Wind. This is like 100% PvP only. At the start of the battle, it gives immunity to that character for 1 round. Now, it is unremovable, so heroes like Cordelia and stuff like that get around it. She still morphs through it. But this immunity set is built for a couple of reasons. One, it's to stop taunters, right, which have completely fallen out of the meta because of heroes like Karma. And then also Shark Salandre Rex taunters and Kelowna and Royce. You know, there's just so many. But it can be used for that if you don't have any of those characters. The other thing that immunity does is it stops really powerful heroes such as Desdemona. It stops really powerful heroes like Adeline. So the way that I've used immunity is when it comes to RTA, or Guild versus Guild, or even just normal arena, you tend to put immunity as a support set on heroes that you don't want to either be controlled by Desdemona. So Zoltan is usually run really slow, right? Because he gains speed stacks whenever more and more people die. So he's going to just gradually get fast. So you build him slow and really tanky. I have him in that immunity set because if anybody, he's the primary target of Desdemona because he doesn't have any kind of way to keep himself without being controlled unless he gets his ultimate off. And as we just talked, he's very slow. So if he has that first turn immunity up, by the time his turn comes, he can then use his ultimate and then put the control immunity up. So he's a primary target. But a general application for immunity, it's going to be similar to the elemental set. A general application for the immunity set is any kind of damage dealer that you want to actually get their first turn off. Right? That's the important thing. So Nero, Jerome, Rosalie, Guan Yu, Naya, heck, even Atara. So it's weird to say Atara, but there are unremovable buffs such as Desdemona that Atara can't remove. So if you need someone to come in and make sure that they get a turn and put the attack down 2 or something that Atara has on her ultimate, immunity set's going to be good there. You know, who else can you put that on? You can put that on Dark Nick, Light Nick. You can put it on Adeline. You can put it on Wilsey. Any of these heroes that it's really important for you to get that first turn ability off, immunity is going to be good there. The issue with immunity, though, is all it is the immunity stat, right? It's that immunity buff. So you're going to be taking away possible stats from your characters by putting immunity on there. So, you know, as the case with Zoltan. So the fact that I have Zoltan in immunity means that I can't put him in something like guard set, right? Where if I had guard set on, where is it? So guard set gives you 30% of your max health in a shield at the start of the turn. That makes him even tankier. So with immunity, now I don't get that big shield. It makes him less tanky, but The trade-off is now Desdemona can't control him, or Adeline can't put up her energy reversal buff, so he's actually dealing damage. It's just a trade-off, but I think sometimes people overuse the immunity set. So don't fall into that trap, okay? And then last but not least is this resonance set. So this resonance set is the most versatile set that they introduced. Wrath has a clear direction, immunity has a clear direction, salvation has a clear direction, right? And then elemental set is, a nice two-piece niche set for someone in PvE. But resonance set, okay, resonance set, 4-piece set from Gemini. When attacking during the hero's turn, it has a 50% chance that the ally with the highest attack will launch a joint attack. This has been fantastic. I think this set is better than it's supposed to be because of heroes already existing in the game. Like Gavin, like Guan Yu. They shouldn't be that good, but they are because those heroes actually exist in the game. So I will say that this set is good in PvP, but because of the percentage chance, I don't know if I would put all of my eggs in that basket, right? So from a resonance set perspective, how I utilize this is for support heroes in PvE content, also can transfer over into PvP, but they have to have damage dealing skills, right? So Shane is the primary person for this. He grants your damage dealer attack up and damage up, and then he can put on attack down and Law of Karma, and Law of Karma actually increases the damage that someone would take if resonance set is procced, because when that person has Law of Karma on them, if the boss is attacked outside of the turn of the hero that is attacking them, which is proccing off a resonance set, the damage is increased by 30%. So this was built for Shane, right? So he does damage though. Like if you put this on Flarence won't trigger it. You actually have to hit, right? It says when attacking. So don't make that mistake. If it's a support ability where it doesn't do any damage at all, resonance set is not going to be good on that person, okay? So resonance set on Shane is going to be really good. Resonance set on Atara is going to be really good. Resonance set on slower heroes that actually gain speed, similar to Guan Yu, or gain bonus turns or jump in front of the turn order. Heroes like Karma, I've talked about it. I actually use Karma in resonance set as well, a damage dealing resonance set. Cordelia is a nice person to use on resonance set. The reason why Cordelia is kind of nice to use is because as soon as she morphs someone, if you can bring in a character that has the highest attack with resonance set, it can kill the morph character immediately before your opponent has any time to actually cleanse the morph. So that's kind of cool. It's still undetermined if Corrupt Urak, his ability at the beginning of the turn, can proc resonance set. I don't think it can because it's not an actual attack, but the way the coding works, who knows, right? So that's an option. That's the type of character that you're looking for. Any kind of support character for damage dealing, like Muriel. Muriel is another hero that I use resonance set on. She's further down here. So Muriel, fantastic option. I have her in resonance set, not a very good one. I do need to get her faster, but all I use her for is to do extra attacks. So, look at this piece. This is absolute garbage, but it was speed set, a speed main stat, so it was good enough. So, yep, Muriel, Maeve, another one that's good with resonance set. Huntress Freya, another great option at resonance set. She does attacks with support attributes to herself. Very good character. So That's how you should treat Resonance Set. It's just a general versatile set that you can literally put on anybody that does damage. But you have to realize that it's not giving you any stat bonuses or anything like that. It's just going to allow your highest attack hero a chance to attack. So just keep that in mind whenever you are, gearing your heroes with these new sets. I hope it helped. General overview. I tried to give some examples of the heroes that would best wear these. But I also wanted to give a broad description because I don't have every hero built, so I don't utilize every hero. So I just want to give the idea of how you can utilize those sets. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys. I hope this helped. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you on the next one. See ya.